Yo, what's good, people? We're here with the final part of Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. This is part 77. It's been a journey. Witches, wizards, warlocks, magicians, magus, and magi, let us continue on illumination. Now, illumination has also been linked with the use of LSD and similar drugs. Perhaps most mysteriously of all, it can occur seemingly spontaneously to people who have no knowledge or expectation of it. What characterizes an experience of illumination? Some of the prevalent factors are 1. A sense of unity, a fading of the self-other divide. 2. Transcendence of space and time as barriers to experience. 3. Positive sensations. 4. A sense of the numinous. 5. A sense of certitude, the realness of the experience. 6. Paradoxical insights. 7. Transience, the experience does not last. 8. Resultant change in attitude and behavior. In neurological terms, such experiences represent a reorganizing of activity in the brain as a whole. The loss of ego boundary and the involvement of all senses suggests that the reticular formation is being influenced so that the processes which normally convey a sense of being rooted in space-time are momentarily inhibited. The floating sensation, often associated with astral projection and other such phenomena, suggests that the limbic system of the brain stem, which processes proprioceptive information about the body's location in space, is also acting in an unusual mode. What are the fruits of this experience? The insights, perceptions, and messages brought back down to earth by the illuminate. Evolution of consciousness by such means could well be an important survival program, a way of going beyond the information given, a way of learning how to modify the human biosystem via the environment. Ilya Prigoghine's theory of dissipative structures shows how the very instability of open systems allows them to be self-transforming. The basis of this idea is that the movement of energy through a system causes fluctuations which, if they reach a critical level, i.e. a catastrophe cusp point, develop novel interactions until a new whole is produced. The system then recognizes itself into a new higher order, which is more integrated than the previous system, requires a greater amount of energy to maintain itself, and is further disposed to future transformation. This can equally apply to neurological evolution, using a psychotechnology, ancient or modern, as the tool for change. The core stages of the process appear to be 1. Change. 2. Crisis. 3. Transcendence. 4. Transformation. 5. Predisposition of further change. Also, the term illumination is itself a significant. Visions of light that suddenly burst forth upon the individual are well documented from a wide variety of sources, from shamanic travelers to St. Paul, acid trippers to people who seemingly have the experience spontaneously. Similarly, the experience of being born again is central to shamanism, religions, and magical systems. Once old self dies and a new one is reborn from the shattered patterns and perceptions. This is well understood in cultures where there is a single predominant mythic reality. Death and rebirth is the key to shamanic development, and many shamanic cultures interpret an experience quite literally rather than metaphorically. Western psychologists are only just beginning to understand the benefits of such an experience. What is clear is that for many people who undergo it, the experience is unsettling and disturbing, especially when there is no dominant cultural backdrop with which to explain or understand the process. A good example to look at, which always raises hackles in some quarters, is the LSD death rebirth experience. Some Western authorities on spiritual practice hold that drug-induced experiences are somehow not as valid as ones triggered by spiritual practices. Fortunately, this somewhat blinkered view is receding as more information about the role played by psychoactive substances in shamanic training is brought to light. The positive benefits of LSD have been widely proclaimed by people as diverse as Aldous Huxley, Timothy Leary, and Stanislav Grof, all of whom also stress that acid should be used in controlled conditions rather than, as is so often the case today, indiscriminately. What must be borne in mind about LSD, like other psychoactives, is that its action and effects are highly dependent upon individual beliefs and expectations, and social conditioning. Dropping acid can lead to lasting change and transformation in a positive sense. Equally, it can lead to individuals uncritically accepting a set of beliefs and patterns that effectively wall them off from further transformations. Witness the number of burnt out acid heads who become born again evangelicals, for instance. It's not so much the experience itself, but how individuals assimilate it in terms of cultural expectations. As an example of how this process operates, contrast a proto-shaman against a member of postmodern industrial culture such as is your own. The proto-shaman undergoes death and rebirth, and, following illumination, is reborn into the role of a practicing shaman, with all its subsequent status, affiliations, and expectations. Would that it were as simple for Westerners. Ours is a much more complex set of social relations than the tribal environment. Though one might be tempted to think of oneself as a shaman in the making, it's a safe bet that not everyone else is going to accede that role in you. It's tempting and entirely understandable to think, right, that's it, I'm illuminated now, I've been there, done it, etc., and sit back on one's laurels, as it were. While for some of us, one death rebirth experience alone is enough to jolt us into a new stage of development. It's more often the case that what we do afterwards is critically important. Zero states of having made it are very seductive, but our conditioning patterns are insidious, creeping back into the psyche while our minds are occupied elsewhere. The price of transformation is eternal vigilance. Vigilance against being lulled back into conditioned beliefs and emotional and mental patterns that we think that we have overcome. Illumination may well be a peak in our development, but it isn't the end point by any means. Those undergoing the initiation cycle in the West tend to find that many periodic death-rebirth experiences are necessary, as we reshuffle different bits of the psyche with each occurrence. Yet the death-rebirth experience can bring about lasting benefits, including the alleviation of a wide variety of emotional, interpersonal, and psychocosmetic problems that hitherto have resisted orthodox treatment regimes. I would postulate that the death-rebirth experience is an essential form of adaptive learning, as it is a powerful process of widening our perspectives on life, our perceptions of the world and of each other. The illuminatory insight moves us toward a holotropic perspective, i.e., of moving towards a whole, whereby new insights about self in relation to the universe and how ideas and concepts synthesize together can be startlingly perceived. At this kind of turning point in our lives, we can go beyond what we already know and begin to manifest new concepts and constructs. We are all capable of the vision. What we do to realize that vision is equally in our hands. The final part, gnosis. Related to the experience of illumination is the term gnosis, which can be read on different levels. First, gnosis is that peak experience of no mind, one-pointedness, or samadhi, which is the high point of any route into magical trance. Second, gnosis can be understood as knowledge of the heart, perceptions that are difficult to express in language, yet can be grasped and shared. This is the secret language of magic. To grasp the meaning, you have to go through the experience first. Gnosis is not merely the act of understanding, it is understanding which impels you to act in a certain way. Thus, as you work with magic, so magic works upon you. Such is the nature of chaos. And that is the end of Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. We went extra deep today. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you soon with a new novel.